I want to welcome everyone. My name is Chris Kaiser, and I am the new president of the Writers Guild of America West. So, it turns out my father is a doctor. He was the town obstetrician and gynecologist, which is a pretty good thing, except for the fact that he was the guy who came to our school and gave the Becoming a Man and Becoming a Woman lecture, which is kind of awkward. But apart from that, everybody loved him, all the teachers loved him, all the librarians, and we had the most incredible collection of books at home, including that 12-year-old bonanza, the book I used to call Your Bodies, Yourselves. It's always good to have research at hand. And then years later, when I had my own television series, I would call him up and say, okay, so here's what I need. I have a character, and in season 2, she had hysterectomy, and now I need her to be pregnant with twins, one of whom is evil. How do I do that? Obviously, most people don't have a doctor in the house, and that's where Hollywood Health and Society comes in. All of us who write for television have the power to move people. And with the power to move people also comes the power to instruct and to teach, and with the power to teach comes the obligation to teach well and wisely. And all of you who are in this room tonight have done exactly that. So on behalf of the Writers Guild of America, I welcome all of you to the 12th Annual Sentinel for Health Awards. I congratulate Hollywood Health and Society for a long, very fruitful partnership, and congratulate all of the nominees who are with us tonight. And with that, I'd like to turn the podium over to the head of the USC Annenberg Norman Lear Center, Marty Kaplan.
Thank you and good evening, and congratulations, Chris. Chris is now co-chair of the board of Hollywood Health and Society, a board of advisors, along with Dr. Neil Baer, who has a new series on A Gifted Man. So we've got great people helping us, and we're really appreciative of it. As Chris said, I am Marty Kaplan. I'm the director of the Norman Lear Center at USC, and Hollywood Health and Society is one of our premier programs at the Lear Center. If you want to know more about what we do more broadly, learcenter.org is a rich and deep site, and I invite you to have a look there. Tonight, we're going to honor the producers and writers of the shows on television that get it right and are entertaining as they do it, and we're thrilled that this is the 12th time that we've done it. And I just want you to know my goal for this evening is that when you tonight see your pillow, you say, thank God those people know how to end on time. These awards are sponsored by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and you'll hear more about them and about what we do as the evening goes along. For those of you who are live tweeting tonight, and you know who you are, our hashtag is Sentinel. Norman Lear was here earlier. I hope some of you had a chance to see him and meet him. Even in his absence, I am thrilled and grateful for his support. There would be no Hollywood Health and Society and Norman Lear Center without his incredible generosity to many causes, including ours. What I'd like to do now is to introduce to you, many of you know her, the director of our Hollywood Health and Society program. We're going to be a bit of a tag team this evening. Please welcome Sandra DeCastro-Buffington.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you all for being with us tonight to celebrate the best in health and entertainment. Script writers are the master storytellers of our time. They're creators of our collective future. Their stories transport millions of viewers around the world and invent what happens in our culture. The writers we're celebrating tonight have helped viewers take a leap on the path to health. And some of us consider this a leap on the path of evolution itself. So if we ask ourselves, what is working in Hollywood, we will find the answer here tonight. We would not be able to present these awards each year without the generous support of our sponsors. So I'd like to acknowledge some of our very special partners, and I'm going to ask them to stand and ask you to hold your applause till the end. So we have with us from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Demetrius Parker. Will you please stand? Okay. And we have the judges for these awards who took their time to help us choose the best of the best. And would you please stand? We don't have any judges. Oh, we do. Yay. Oh, we have a group of judges. Good. And I'd also like to thank any health experts in the audience tonight who've worked with Hollywood Health and Society to assist scriptwriters with their health storylines. Do we have any health experts? Okay, not tonight. And finally, I would like to thank the staff of Hollywood Health and Society and the Norman Lear Center for making this a very special evening. So let's give them a round of applause.
So here's how tonight will go. We will present the awards. You'll see clips. They're very powerful from the nominees. And then we'll have a brief panel discussion in which some of the winners will tell us the behind-the-scenes stories about what it was like to do these things, why they did them, and it'll give us some special insight. And then, as I said, at a really quite decent hour, we'll all be on our way. But first, before we start with the Sentinel Awards, there's a special award that we always give at the Sentinel Awards, and that's how we're going to start this evening as well. It's named for Everett Rogers. He was an associate dean of the Annenberg School, and he passed away 7 years ago. And to tell us about this award and about the winner and to present the award to the winner, I'd like to introduce to you a colleague of mine at the Annenberg School at USC, a former dean of that school, and an MD as well, Peter Clark.
Truth in lending forces me to advise you I'm not an MD. So no emergencies tonight upon which you call for my assistance. Yeah. Yes, Everett Rogers was a longtime colleague of mine, and I played a role in bringing him to the Annenberg School, and was an individual who really, as much as any other single individual in the world, could be credited with having helped create the entertainment education movement and to propagate the idea that entertainment programming could serve really enormous social goods as well as commercial goods. We have, by the way, another former winner of the Everett Rogers Award who I'd like to draw your attention to in the audience, and that's David Poindexter. David, would you stand? Tonight's winner, or this year's winner, is a remarkable woman who has spent a great deal of her career abroad, working in, I think, at least 40, perhaps more countries, helping take the idea of entertainment education and the use of entertainment programming for social goods to many corners of the world. She has authored a great many of the workbooks and instructional materials that are so responsible for helping shape the creative teams that bring this programming to light. She is a longtime faculty member of the Bloomberg School at Johns Hopkins University, and it's my great pleasure to introduce you to Esta de Fassard. Esta? I think we're supposed to pose. Oh. And you should have your hand on this because I'm the, I think so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Am I supposed to say anything?
Yes.
Sit down.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
He says no, he says yes. What am I supposed to do? This is...
You must be obeyed.
This is a very, very special moment in my life, obviously, and I'm deeply touched. I'd just like to share with you a little experience which I think brought me to this point in life. When I was quite a young woman, recently divorced with 2 young children, I was given a Fulbright teacher exchange to come to America from Australia. But the problem was the teacher exchange scholarship paid for me. It did not pay for my 2 young children. And I was very concerned about what am I going to do? And one night I had a phone call from the father of 2 of my students, Mr. Chester Guest, and he said, I'd like to come and see you for a moment. When I opened the door, I was horrified to see that he looked incredibly pale and weak. And he came in and he said, you have done so much for my 2 daughters. You are a wonderful teacher and you've changed their lives. And now he said, I'd like to help you change your life. And you're not allowed to say no. And he gave me a check which completely covered the fares for my children to come with me. And I looked at him and I didn't know what to say. And he said, I'm going to ask you, as your way of thanking me, to pass it on. And I hope that's what I've been doing all my life, to pass on to other people the chance to have a happier, healthy life. And I always remember Mr. Guest. He died just a few weeks after he had given me that gift. And I hope he knows that in the world of entertainment, I have spent my life trying to pass it on. Thank you.
Esta, congratulations. What a wonderful speech. Esta and I worked internationally over many years in the same countries and with many of the same organizations. But I didn't have the pleasure of meeting her until just a couple of months ago. And I felt as if I were meeting a long-lost friend. So congratulations. Now it's time to move on to the 2011 Sentinel Awards ceremony. I love this event because it gives us a chance to honor TV writers who first and foremost tell great stories. And their stories reach millions of viewers around the world who come back week after week for more. But their stories are not simply entertaining people. They're often teaching them something important in the process. In fact, these shows can transform society as a whole. As most of you know, a story with that kind of impact to get made in the first place takes a powerful alignment of many forces. But at the core, it always takes a deeply committed and visionary writer to bring a story to life. Writers, tonight is all about you. It's our chance to honor your storytelling and the positive and transformative effects your work have on society and on our health. Congratulations to all of you. We received a total of 26 storylines this year. They were reviewed by health and entertainment experts who selected only 8 of them as finalists. The finalists fall into 5 categories: children's programming, telenovela, global health, primetime drama minor storyline, and primetime drama major storyline. So let's begin with the awards for children's programming. There was 1 finalist selected for this category. It's from the well-loved PBS show Sesame Street. It's called Food for Thought, Eating Well on a Budget. The storyline features Elmo, Super Grover, and a musical band of superfoods who show parents and kids how to eat well. Let's take a look.
I said open! Open!
Oh, no! Oh, look what happened! Oh.
On the bright side, I did get the bag open.
Now what am I going to do? What is that music?
Where have I heard that before? Oh, now I remember.
Give a cheer, a shout, hooray, superfood will save the day.
You again?
Wow, superfoods? Oh, maybe you can help me. Yeah, I was going to have some crunchy twist, but now I need a different snack.
Well, we know lots of healthy foods you can eat at snack time or any time.
Really? Like what?
There's a whole rainbow of really delicious foods that are good for you.
Okay, do not listen to them. You cannot even eat a rainbow.
Oh, sure you can. Eating a rainbow of healthy, different colored foods can make you stronger and smarter.
No.
Yes! Hey, and you can eat them anytime. I'll sing you a little song about it.
No, that will not be necessary, actually.
Oh, here's one I learned from my hero, Judy Garlic. So hold on to your ruby slippers, because we're not in Kansas anymore. Sometime you'll eat a rainbow, and you will find fresh foods of different colors make strong bodies and minds.
Sing it, whole wheat.
Red like apples, cherries too. Orange carrots, good for you. And yellow corn, yum.
Yum, 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 yum.
Green like lettuce or like peas. Blue for foods like blueberry. And purple plums, yum. Hey!
They look delicious.
Yes, but just so you know, singing, not a superpower.
Now you can make a rainbow on your plate. Choose foods of different colors. Eat them anytime. Eat them early or late. Ah! And you'll feel so great.
We like to get fresh foods and veggies at the farmer's market. Everything here is so yummy and colorful. Orange carrots and tomatoes. Look how red. Just one thing left. Fruit. Watermelon, my favorite.
This show received very high scores and won first place in this category. And here to accept the award is Jane Park, advisor to Sesame Street on this episode. Jane, would you come up to receive the award?
Thank you. I guess being the only finalist.
Shake my hand. Okay. And let's do this. I need to hand this to you. Like that.
Thank you.
Okay? Okay. Now you can make your remarks. It's all yours.
Thank you. Cookie Monster wanted to come today. He sends his regrets, but he got stuck in Pilates class. So, on behalf of everyone at Sesame Workshop and the entire Food for Thought team, we'd like to thank Sentinel for Health Awards for this amazing honor. We'd particularly like to thank Chrissy Ferraro, who's a writer, Kevin Clash, our brilliant Muppeteer who plays Elmo, Christina Delfico, Carolyn Parenti, and Jeanette Betancourt for their contributions. And most importantly, we're grateful to all the children families who watch our programs and support our work. We hope that they'll continue to enjoy and learn from our programs, and that they'll learn from us as much as we learn from them. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you.
I can't get over the idea that someone plays Elmo. Our next category is telenovela, which, as you know, these dramas air all over the world. They really reach hundreds and hundreds of millions of people. There was one impressive finalist in this category with a storyline about the importance of getting a pap smear annually to test for HPV and prevent cervical cancer, a topic very much in the news recently. This storyline is from Telemundo TV series El Clon. It's called Once a Year for Peace of Mind. Let's watch the clip.
Disculpa, Dora, dejaste en blanco la pregunta de cuándo fue tu último Papá Nicolau.
¿Mi último qué, doctora?
Tu examen de papa. Tu última citología.
Mijita, el examen anual que le piden a todas las mujeres con su ginecóloga.
Pues la verdad es que no me acuerdo cuándo fue la última vez.
No me tienes que dar una fecha exacta, pero sí un aproximado. Finales del año pasado, a comienzos de este año.
20 años, doctora.
Por Dios, Dora. ¿Cómo dejaste pasar tanto tiempo sin hacerte un control médico? ¿No te das cuenta que estás poniendo en riesgo tu vida si no lo haces? Aunque te sientas de maravilla, Dora, todas las mujeres, sin excepción, debemos practicarnos el Papa Nicolau una vez cada año. No importa si nos sentimos sanas o enfermas.
Doctora, entiéndame. Yo no he tenido una vida fácil. Si no estoy trabajando, he estado detrás de mi hijo. No tengo seguro médico. Yo no puedo gastarme lo poco que tengo en ir al médico o hacerme exámenes, y menos si me siento bien.
Eso no es una excusa, Dora. Hay muchos hospitales y clínicas que ofrecen este examen gratis o a bajo costo para mujeres de escasos recursos. Las mujeres a veces no se dan cuenta, pero este examen, que dura solo unos pocos minutos, puede salvarles la vida. Cálmese, señora. Estoy revisando los resultados del Papa Nicolau que le practiqué a su hija hace unos días y...
¿Qué pasa, doctora? ¿Tengo cáncer?
No, Dora. Afortunadamente no es cáncer de cuello uterino como temíamos.
Ay, gracias a Dios. Ay, hijita, tú no sabes lo que le había pedido a Dios por tu salud. Ay.
Sí, esta es una muy buena noticia. Pero el resultado indica que hay un problema.
¿Qué?
¿Y es grave?
Nada que no se pueda tratar, pero te voy a pedir otros exámenes para determinar un diagnóstico más claro.
Doctora, pero yo no entiendo. Yo soy una mujer sana, fuerte. Además, yo tenía una sola pareja sexual.
Perdóname que te diga esto, Dora, pero eso no es garantía de que no te vayas a enfermar. Las mujeres tienen la falsa creencia de que si solo tienen una pareja o no tienen sexo, nunca se van a enfermar. Lamentablemente, el cáncer de cuello uterino y otras enfermedades del órgano reproductor femenino solo manifiestan los síntomas de alerta cuando ya es demasiado tarde. Por eso es tan importante realizarse el Papa Nicolau o citología anualmente. ¿Te diste cuenta de lo sencillo que fue realizarse el examen? Y lo mucho que te hubieras ahorrado si lo hubieras hecho una vez cada año.
La doctora tiene razón, hija. Tú has sido muy irresponsable con tu salud.
Sí, mamá, yo sé. Pero ahora que sé que el examen es gratuito en muchas partes y que me puede salvar la vida, me lo voy a hacer religiosamente una vez al año. De aquí hasta que Diosito decida llevarme.
This program is our first prize winner in the telenovela category, and accepting on behalf of Telemundo, Victor Franco.
Thank you so much. Muy buenas noches. Whoa. Es un gran placer estar aquí con... Oh, wait a minute, that's not going to work here, right? No. Okay. Well, certainly on behalf of the Telemundo Network and NBC Universal, we want to thank the Hollywood Health Society for this major recognition. I really appreciate what Dr. Kaplan said earlier in the program when he said that some of us finally get it right. When you consider the millions of people that we are reaching, it's so critical for us to use this platform to address quality of life issues, quite frankly. Issues that affect us in every single way. And what better way to reach and to educate and to inform our viewers that there are some serious issues that they need to address, and they need to accept the fact that they need to seek help. So this is a major honor, and I'm just delighted to be here representing Telemundo. Unfortunately, the writers Roberto Stopello and Sandra Velasco were not able to join us today, but I was honored to be asked to come and represent them. Thank you so much.
Next up is the category of Global Health Storylines. Of several entries, only one show made it as a finalist this year. It's an episode of ABC's Off the Map, which is set in the Amazon. The episode's called It's a Leaf. This episode tackles important topics such as safe childbirth, mining safety, excuse me, and the exploitation of hope among terminally ill people. Let's watch the clip.
What is with birth to Soleil?
They're Quechua, a native Andean culture. The women don't normally give birth in hospitals.
Can see why?
To encourage them to come here and deliver in the presence of a doctor, we allow them to do it their way.
It's a public health initiative to reduce maternal mortality rates. It's a very good idea.
This is ubos leaf powder. Use it as a poultice to help progress labor, babasu oil for the baby's scalp, and that is their godmother knife. They tell me it's been in their family for generations. Tika is the midwife and the patient's sister. She's also the godmother-to-be. She will use it to cut the umbilical cord.
Okay, well, where do I come in?
You don't. You only assist in an emergency, otherwise stay out of the way.
I'm just concerned that your sister's labor isn't progressing.
With respect, doctora, I was trained in Lima as a licensed partera. I know what I'm doing.
Chart says she's been laboring since yesterday, and to be safe, I would like to check the fetal heart tones because if they're low, we should consider a C-section.
You want to cut the baby out so you can get to your hot aid?
What?
American doctoras. I hear you're all the same. Not one bit of patience.
A C-section is a procedure that protects both the mother and the child. It's not just cutting someone open, and believe me, I don't have a hot date.
It is important my sister give birth exactly like this. Head is out. Chuta madre.
What's wrong? What is it?
El hombro. The baby's shoulder is cut.
Shoulder dystocia. What are you doing?
Susto. Quechua technique. Moves the baby into the right position.
It's not enough. I have to rotate the baby's shoulders inward, okay?
You do your way, I'll do mine.
Okay, see the head. If I could just get the shoulder.
Got it. Ay, mira qué linda. Ay. Qué tierna. Ay.
Oh. Oh, crap.
You just became the godmother.
I'm very pleased to announce that the first place award in the global health category does indeed go to the It's a Leaf episode of Off the Map. And please welcome and congratulate the writer of this episode, Gabriel Llanas.
Hi. My only real regret is that we couldn't figure out a way to get Super Grover a cameo in that scene. That would have been awesome. But no, I just want to thank Hollywood Health and Society for all of their help in helping us, demonstrate, accurately demonstrate what is a very serious global health issue. Obviously, I also want to thank our researcher, Ramla Mohammed, who's sitting back there. She's excellent. She did a great job and working in conjunction with Hollywood Health and Society in order to get us all the facts we needed. And of course, I want to thank Jenna Bands, the creator of the show, who gave us a venue to tell these kind of stories. And maternal health is very important in developing countries. Every day there are over 1,500 women who die from preventable complications due to childbirth and pregnancy, and 99% of those deaths occur in developing countries. So it was very special to me to be able to shine some light on this subject. and hopefully tell what was an entertaining story about it. That's it. Thank you so much. I'm very humbled by this. Thank you.
And just one footnote, next year, this coming year, in the Sentinel for Health Awards, there will be a new category, climate change. And so for those of you here who now are inspired to write something about it, we're glad to know that.
And next, I am pleased to present the Sentinel Award for the top shows in the category of Primetime Drama Minor Storyline. In this category, we have 2 shows that made it to the finals. The first finalist is from the popular ABC series Private Practice. This episode is called The Hardest Part, and it explores the subject of pediatric brain tumors. Let's take a look.
Grab my fingers and squeeze hard as you can. Okay. Now hands out, palms up, close your eyes.
Is something wrong?
Well, I think it would be worth getting an MRI, and our neurosurgeon should take a look.
Damn it.
What is it?
It's called a pilocytic astrocytoma. It's in the part of the brain that controls hand function.
Am I gonna die?
You'll have to have surgery.
You'll have to cut into his brain?
It's the best course of action. The safest and simplest route would be right through the center of the motor strip. But if we go through that area, the likelihood is that we would destroy all function in his right hand.
I won't be able to play music anymore?
No.
Are there any other options?
I can do an awake craniotomy.
Awake? During brain surgery?
Because you'd be conscious and able to talk to me, I could monitor your hand function much more closely and try to avoid damaging any of the corresponding nerves.
Would it hurt?
There are no pain sensors on the brain. Your scalp would be numb, so you would hear the drill, you would feel pressure from the vibration, but it wouldn't hurt. However, because I would be taking a longer and more indirect route, there is a possibility of inflicting more damage.
What kind of damage?
Patrick might end up with some degree of paralysis in his right leg.
But I'll still be able to play. I don't know if this is Please, right. Grandpa, let her do it. I don't need legs, but I need the piano.
I need to stimulate a few more areas in your brain so I know where it's safe to cut. Just keep playing, okay, Patrick?
Any requests?
I think the guy with his brain exposed gets to choose.
What's happening?
It's okay. Now I know that's an area I can't go near. All right, Patrick, I'm gonna cut now. You ready? He's in recovery. He had a brain hemorrhage, and I had to evacuate the hematoma, but I managed to get the bleeding under control, and I got the whole tumor.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Will he walk again?
We won't know until the swelling goes down. If we're lucky, he may end up with only some mild weakness in his leg, but he will play again, so all things considered, this was a success.
Very powerful. The second finalist is from the popular ABC show Grey's Anatomy. And this episode is called Not Responsible, and it tackles the topic of cystic fibrosis. Let's take a look.
Well, your new lungs should leave Portland in about 2 hours. Now, you haven't taken any of your cystic fibrosis meds since last night, right?
No food, no water, no drugs.
Great. So we'll just do one last workup, and then we'll get you to the OR.
Oh, and Julia, write down your number, please, and give it to Dr. Gray.
Why?
Well, so we can call you when Ricky's in surgery if we have any news.
Did they come by with the forms?
I think I signed 200 of them.
That sounds about right. Just gave us your firstborn. You need a drink of water, Julia?
Just asthma, sorry.
Nothing brings people together like respiratory disorders.
Romantic. Dornace.
It's mine.
It has Julia's name on it.
Rick, why is she on Dornace?
I'm gonna go. Wait, Julia, do you have cystic fibrosis?
Go.
No, wait a minute, okay? Nobody's going anywhere.
You know how dangerous cystic fibrosis patients are to each other?
We know.
Your disease isn't contagious to anybody in the general population. It's not like you can't date. You just can't. You can't date each other.
You can infect each other with bacteria. There's no way you can
We know.
fight.
You know how many times we've heard the warnings? Never get closer than 3 feet from another CF patient.
It's a drag. Okay, there's no question. I get it. No, you don't. Ricky gets it. Nobody else gets it. We both try dating. People can't handle it. People cringe as soon as you start coughing like you're gonna kill them. This is dangerous.
Depression is dangerous. Living by yourself with nobody who understands you, that's dangerous.
The fact that the two of you haven't swapped a life-threatening infection already is a miracle. So maybe God has a soft spot for you guys, but once this transplant is done, Ricky will be on immunosuppressants, 10 times more likely to get an infection.
Lots of things are risky.
This is suicide.
You don't know that.
It doesn't mean anything to you. You've been happy. We've been sick our whole lives. Don't we deserve some happiness?
You'll get it.
Don't act like it's easy. With your gorgeous eyes and your white coat, it's insulting. I won't tell you it's easy. It's not. But people need these lungs. People can use these lungs for decades. Parents with small children, teenagers who are just starting their lives. If the two of you stay together, you could destroy those lungs within months. End the relationship, or you don't get the lungs. Okay, Avery?
Ready?
Yep, I come. Okay.
Got it.
Got it. All right, pickups, hot scissors. Dr. Gray, bring him over. Oh, they're beautiful. You waste these, I swear to God, I'll kill him.
And it always feels like there is just one person in this world to love. And then you find somebody else. And it just seems crazy that you were ever worried in the first place.
Selmy has to find someone. He really has to try, because I don't want him to be alone.
So, both great shows, and this was very close. I'm very glad to present the second place award for Primetime Minor Storyline to Private Practice for the hardest part. And here to accept the award is Jennifer Cecil, co-executive producer of Private Practice and the writer of the episode.
This is very exciting for me. The only other time I've ever won anything for writing was in the 3rd grade in Sister K. Joe's class when I wrote a poem, and all I needed for that was some lined paper and a pencil and a lot of crayons to distract from the fact that I didn't really know what I was writing about. This was far more complicated than that. So I really want to thank Hollywood Health and Society for their incredible help on this episode and every episode we do on Private Practice. I also want to thank Noah Eslin, who's the medical researcher for Private Practice and does an incredible job so that when I wander across the hall into his office and say things like, I want a pediatric story with a brain tumor, and I want to write something about what we do for excellence and what's most important in life, and he listens and says, oh, we could do an awake craniotomy. So it's a very valuable thing to have. This means a lot to me because for a brief moment in college, I decided no one could possibly make a living writing, so I needed to go to med school. So I crammed in a bunch of pre-med courses, which was challenging to say the least, and was a physics class away from taking the MCAT when I realized I have no facility for math and science. So it's a lovely thing to be able to be in a profession where I can combine a love of science with a love of writing, and to have availability of people like Sandra to be as accurate as possible. I was fortunate enough this past year to be able to travel to India with Hollywood Health and Society and see firsthand how what we write here in a vacuum affects people worldwide. I was in slums where people didn't really have a roof over their head and didn't have electricity, but they would pirate electricity and have television and would watch medical shows and talk to me about medical shows. So I feel a great responsibility to get this stuff right, and that's made much easier by the folks at Hollywood Health and Society, so thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And now I'm pleased to present the First Place Award for a minor storyline in a primetime drama to Grey's Anatomy, and for this episode, Not Responsible. Zoanne Clack, co-executive producer of Grey's Anatomy, is here to accept the award. Zoanne.
I also had no propensity for math or science, but I went on to become a doctor anyway. I did not take the better way like Jennifer did. So since I am the doctor on Grey's Anatomy, they feel that I am inclined to go to every award show that has anything to do with health, so here I am. Actually, the writer of this episode really wanted to be here, but she is living a fabulous life in New York, where she lives. And she actually is a consulting producer, and she writes from there, from her lovely house with her lovely children and her lovely husband, living a wonderful life, and I'm not jealous at all. But basically, I'd like to thank Hollywood Health and Society, because not only do they provide us with outstanding experts and medical information and help supplement my small brain knowledge, they also validate my life, my career choices. So that is helpful. That the fact that I have decided to become a writer instead of saving lives every day is actually validated, because I get to bring public health messages and social issues to the world. And like Jennifer, I also went to India and saw that Grey's is very popular in places like India and Papua New Guinea, which who knew, right? So we're doing a lot here, and it's very important to us to be as responsible as possible and to project our information in the most responsible way, in the most accurate way as possible, with, of course, the drama being first at all costs. So sometimes I win a lot. I mean, I win some, but I lose a lot of things in the room that we try to, in general, make everything as accurate as possible. And this story actually came from also our researcher, which I'd like to thank, Meg Marinas, who basically gives us what we call a medical every day. It's just something that's scooped from the headlines, scooped from anything in the public domain, just to, make us start thinking about things. And Debora immediately felt something with the cystic fibrosis storyline, and it was basically just something that said, this person and this person put together can give you this bacteria. And it turned into this wonderful, beautiful story, because Debora is, of course, a genius, and I'm not jealous at all. So thank you so much for this award. Shonda Rhimes thanks you, and Shonda Land. Woo. Thank you.
So now we're moving on to the awards for Primetime Drama Major Storyline. And this year, 3 exceptional finalists have been named in this category for excellence in a major health storyline. The first finalist is from the ABC series, Grey's Anatomy. And this powerful storyline is about Alzheimer's, and it takes place across many episodes. And in this storyline, a main character learns that she's developing Alzheimer's. Let's take a look.
When are the two of you finally getting married?
Meredith and Derek already got married, honey. Remember?
I know that. They wrote on a Post-it. I meant a real wedding in a church with a white dress. This isn't Alzheimer's, Richard.
Adele, the test we ran last month showed findings consistent with early onset Alzheimer's.
I was a nurse for 30 years, Derek. I know what Alzheimer's looks like. I also know that 20% of the people that are diagnosed with it turn out to have something else. I don't have Alzheimer's. I don't.
You have Alzheimer's. It just hasn't progressed enough to get into the trial.
But Derek said I passed. I passed. Meredith, I'm okay. Right?
When I asked you to repeat the 3 words back to me, you said pool instead of spoon. I asked you to identify my stethoscope. It took you a while to find the word. And and I asked you where you took your honeymoon. And you said Hawaii, but you were here because the chief was a medical student and he had to work.
You're just a resident. What do you know? What the hell do any of you know? You work in a hospital all day around sick people and disease? You're obsessed. That's what this is. So I got a few answers wrong. That's all. It's normal to forget things at my age. You can never remember where you parked the car whenever we go to the movies, and they're not saying that you have. It's not fair. Thought I could handle it, thought I could live with it. It was only temporary, that it was going to go away, but clearly I was wrong. It's just getting worse.
I'm sorry.
Are you? Are you really? Then stop. Please. Just stop. Are you in love with him? If you're in love with him, I don't know what you should do, but I think, God help me, Alice, I think he's in love with you. And if you're not, please, give him back.
Adele, it's Meredith, not Alice. It's Meredith. I'm her daughter. Alice is gone. She died.
Please give me back my husband. Please, give me back my husband.
He's yours. He's all yours.
The second finalist, sorry, this is not in order, is from the ABC series Private Practice and is called Did You Hear What Happened to Charlotte King? And this is an episode that portrays the experience of a rape victim and what happens to those around her in the immediate aftermath of the attack. Let's take a look.
Okay, thank you. I have everything. I just need to bag your clothes, okay? You'll need the HIV cocktail, the morning after pill, STD prophylaxis, and a pelvic. Right?
Right.
I just need to examine you for any internal tears or injuries, and then I'll do a rape kit. I'll collect pubic hairs, pelvic washings, blood samples.
A rape kit. I wasn't raped. I was robbed.
Charlotte.
No rape kit.
Charlotte.
What you and I know. Those cops out there, they don't know. They know I was robbed. Now, you can't tell anyone. No rape kit.
Charlotte.
Don't.
You could do this to someone else. Charlotte, if you don't report this, there are other women to think about here.
I said don't.
There's no shame. It's not your fault. You need support, counseling. You need... If you try to keep this secret, it is going to eat you alive. I know it.
You ever been violated? Anybody rape you lately?
I'm trying to help.
Hey, let me tell you what it's like. You know those made-for-TV movies where some woman's always crouched down naked in a shower, holding her knees and sobbing? Because when she closes her eyes, she can still feel the guy's hands on her. How when they show the attack, the woman's eyes go all blank and still. She goes to some other place in her mind just to deal with the horror of what's happening to her while some Lilith Fair song plays. It is nothing like that. It's dirty and sweaty. And he licks your face. And and he wipes himself off in your hair. And when you try to scream, he punches you so hard you see God. And then he goes at you again, ripping stuff you didn't even know you had, because he enjoyed it so much the first time. I know you're trying to help, but if helping me means that everyone, that Cooper, is gonna be looking at me the way you're looking at me now, please do not help me.
The third contender comes from the NBC series Parenthood. The episode is called Qualities and Difficulties, and it tells the story of two parents trying to explain to their child he has Asperger's. In the story, everyone involved is on a learning curve about this condition and how to manage it. Let's take a look.
I'm not gonna be able to work with Max anymore.
What the hell is wrong with you? Why would you do
I
this?
know you're worried about losing your babysitter.
She's not a babysitter. She's a behavioral aid for your nephew. He's got Asperger's.
I have Asperger's? Well, what's Asperger's?
Well, so you called it a disability.
Yeah, look, I'm sure that that's not what I was supposed to do.
What else did you say to him?
I said that he was wired differently. I told him we loved him, and I knew that it was a tough situation. What the hell are you supposed to say to him?
Well, you want to be simple, descriptive, upbeat, emphasize some positive aspects of having Asperger's.
Yeah, the positive aspects of Asperger's. I'm sorry, those weren't occurring to me in the moment. I mean, is this seriously your advice to be upbeat?
It's a suggestion that I believe helps, yes.
We're sorry, folks, but the Velocirator needs repairs and we're going to be closed for the rest of the day. Please come back and visit us soon.
What?
Okay, listen, Max, this is something we didn't plan on, but we have to get off the ride now.
No, we don't.
Max,
You said we would ride the Velocirator as many times as I wanted.
I know I did, but
No.
they have to make
No,
repairs.
you took me out of school so
Look,
that
Max,
we could come here and ride the
but it needed
Velocirator.
repairs all of a
We
sudden.
changed everything about the day
They need to
come
make
here
sure
and
that the
ride
ride
this.
is
No,
safe.
we have to ride it.
There's another ride right
No,
over there.
I don't
Let's
want
try-
another ride.
Try the other road.
I want
Max.
to ride the Velocirator.
So, buddy, do you remember last year when you went to occupational therapy to get more comfortable in your body? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And you know how you've been working with Gabby, and she's been helping you learn how to play with other kids.
Yeah.
Well, you've been working so hard at these things because you have Asperger's syndrome.
You guys already told me that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. But what we haven't had the chance to do is to tell you about all the special abilities that people with Asperger's have. Like, for example, you have an amazing memory. And you have read every book ever written about pirates. And you're passionate about insects. You've always been able to memorize every fact about every insect. And that's all because of the Asperger's.
But there are some things that are a little bit more challenging for you as well. You know, like you had to learn to remember to look into people's eyes when they're talking to you, or to smile at someone when you meet them for the first time, or to stay calm if somebody has a different idea than you. And, you know, sometimes these things come a little bit easier to other kids, but you've really had to work at them.
And we know how hard you've worked to learn them.
You're a rock star.
Will I always have it?
Yes. Yeah, you will always have an amazing memory, and you will always be passionate about the things that you're interested in. And those social skills that your mom mentioned, those will always be things that you just have to remind yourself about.
I want to go play Bug War online.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
30 minutes.
45.
30.
Fine.
I love you.
So we have three very strong contenders. And I want to say that this was the closest race in this category that I have yet to experience at Hollywood Health and Society. So let's see who's the third place winner. It's my pleasure to announce that the third place winner in the 2011 Primetime Drama category is Private Practice. Did you hear what happened to Charlotte King? And let's give this excellent show a round of applause. The writer of this episode is Shonda Rhimes herself. And here to accept the award on her behalf is Jennifer Cecil, co-executive producer of Private Practice.
So, do I have to give this to Shonda, or can we just keep this all to ourselves and I'll take it home? I would like to thank Hollywood Health and Society again on behalf of Shonda Rhimes, the creator of Private Practice and Grey's Anatomy. This was a very special episode. It was taking a main character in this show and putting her through an extremely graphic rape and aftermath. And Hollywood Health and Society was instrumental in making sure we got that information right. It was very important to everybody that we portray what happens far too frequently to women accurately, and that we also portray the difficulty in getting help and the things that women need to do subsequently. And it's a show that you know, there's a lot of shows in a season. If you're lucky, you're on a series that gets 22 episodes a year, and after a while it starts to, things pile up and the train is coming and you just have to get the work done. But this was an episode that meant a lot to everybody who was involved with it on the staff. It meant a lot to women around the world who watched it. We got more fan mail based on this episode, and women wanting to share their experience and thanking Shonda and the show for putting something like this on the air. It was really quite extraordinary. So on behalf of Shonda Rhimes and the show, thank you very much. And if she's nice to me, I'll give this to her.
Thank you, Jennifer. And now it's my pleasure to announce the second place winner. The second place prize for the 2011 Sentinel for Health Award in Primetime Drama goes to Grey's Anatomy for their powerful storyline on Alzheimer's. And here to accept the award is Zoanne Clack, co-executive producer of Grey's Anatomy.
I'm glad it was second. I don't know how I was going to carry both of those first. It's very precarious. Well, Alzheimer's is obviously very important to us. We've had it since episode 1, season 1 on the show in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And then when we found out there was actually a surgical clinical trial going on about, you know, looking for a cure for Alzheimer's, we jumped right on it because obviously, you know, we try to do as much surgical stories on our show. So we're always trying to find a way to kind of invest in Alzheimer's cure and get the message out there that about Alzheimer's and about finding a cure and about being in clinical trials and all of that kind of information. So we were proud to be able to present this, and it's funny that it was an extended storyline with Loretta Devine, which she just won an Emmy for, by the way. And of the multiple episodes, 6 writers, I am none of them. But I am here to accept the award and to give thanks to Hollywood Health and Society from all of the other writers, myself, and Shonda Rhimes. Thank you.
And finally, last but definitely not least, the 2011 Sentinel for Health Awards first place winner in a primetime drama goes to Parenthood for their extraordinary storyline on Asperger's. And here to accept the award is Bridget Carpenter, co-executive producer of Parenthood and writer of this episode. Congratulations.
There you go.
Give it to your baby.
That's right. Thank you. I'm so honored to be in such amazing company, even though I have to admit I did cover my eyes with the brain stuff. It was hard. This episode was the culmination of a season-long storyline which followed the Braverman family's journey towards accepting their son's diagnosis of Asperger's. And the story arc, I feel compelled to say, was inspired by our showrunner, Jason Katims, who just won an Emmy for Friday Night Lights, and his wife, Kathy, who have a son with Asperger's, Sawyer Katims. Kathy and Jason's honesty about how complicated and challenging it is to raise a child with autism made this an incredibly rewarding story to tell. It feels especially lovely to be recognized for this episode of Parenthood because of many episodes I've written. It was my favorite, oddly, but I loved writing it. It just was one of those that just came out. And one of the reasons for that, probably the most important reason for that, is that I have the privilege of working with a tremendous group of writers who I'd like to name: Carrie Aaron, Sarah Watson, David Hudgens, Monica Henderson, Jamie Dunier, Eric Guggenheim, Tyler Bensinger, and our showrunner, Jason Katims. And the other people that I think it's very clear that deserve mention are Peter Krause and Monica Potter, the incredible actors who play the parents of Max Braverman, and of course, Max Burkholder, who portrays exceptionally Max Braverman, and I'd like to thank them for their wonderful work on the show. And lastly, I think it's kind of fun too that I would like to thank my mom, Diane Carpenter, who's here tonight. She is, I got so emotional, but I'm really pregnant and hormonal, so that's what's going on. She has spent her entire career as a teacher and a resource specialist for children with special needs in the LA Unified School District. So I might as well admit, she's an ongoing inspiration. Oh, I'm so pregnant.
I love it when that happens. So we've heard a bit about the behind-the-scenes stories, about how some of these stories came about. Like to hear a little bit more of that and some related things. So I'm going to ask Bridget and Zoanne and Jennifer and Gabriel to join us up here. And we're going to have a not very long but exciting and rich conversation about it.
Yeah, that's right. Your first story. Second. Second. 4. Oh, 4. Thanks. Yeah, exactly. So much that worked out.
Seamless segue.
That's right. In my wheelhouse. Thank you.
So I'd like to just pick up on some of the things that people said and maybe ask others of you to comment on it as well. Zoanne, you said that you won some and you lost some.
Oh, yeah.
So I know that never happens to anyone else, but could you, and we won't tell us a little bit about what you might have won and what you might have lost?
I can tell you a big one.
Excellent.
I think it was 3rd season. If any of you watch Grey's Anatomy, there was a long 3-episode arc about a ferry crash. And Meredith fell into the water and almost drowned. And she was resuscitated for about 24 hours. And then she was extubated and said the word at the end of the episodes after she had been resuscitated for 24 hours. And I thought that was wrong. And I lost. Actually, I had proposed that perhaps we do not get her to the point of extubation. Maybe the next episode, which was perhaps a couple of weeks later, she was still in the hospital, still weak, because she had been resuscitated for 24 hours. And not only was she not in bed for the next episode, she was up and doing rounds and doing surgery. So that is a big one that I lost. The most memorable.
Anyone else want to tell us about a time that you might have won or lost involving medical accuracy? Gabriel.
I suppose this is maybe not totally medical accuracy, but I guess it's a story point. One of the other stories that was part of this episode was about some miners who were trapped inside of a mine, and you made brief mention of it. Originally, that story had started out to be about illegal gold mining, which is a huge problem in South America. And speaking of environmental issues, which you guys are going to be giving an award for next year, really wanted to shine a light on that because it was like it has to do a lot with deforestation.
You've already got the award, Dave.
Really got it. Can resubmit.
Trying to get ready for next year is all.
Might as well just submit that now.
But yeah, and along with that, of course, are some serious health issues because people who do partake in illegal gold mining use mercury, and they dump just a massive quantity of mercury into drinking water and bathing water, and they handle it with their own hands. And so that was the way the story originally started. And then there was over the course of the season, there was the Chilean miners were trapped. And so we thought it might be interesting to sort of switch that and still use the word miners in the story, but make it about a collapsed mine and some trapped miners. And that story was going really well. And we thought that was important, as well, because obviously miners face a lot of health issues. And but when that story was going through to the the people who we have to run stories by who don't work in the writer's office, they felt that
those who must not be named.
Right, yeah. Yes, not Voldemort, but the others. They felt that wasn't quite blue sky enough, and it was a little bit of a dark subject area, and they didn't want to spend an entire hour of primetime television underground in a coal mine. And so in the room, on a whim, I just pitched, well, what if it was an abandoned Inca gold mine, and there's a curse on it? And that's how the story flew. So there were still, we still got to deal with some of the issues.
You got a CDC award for that.
Yes, yeah. But we still did get to deal with some of the issues that miners actually deal with, which is gas leaks, and there was an explosion while they were in the mine. But it changed just a little bit from the way we originally envisioned it.
I actually had the flip side of these two, that I was in the writer's room and I was looking for this, the story that Noah was helping me with and thinking of what could be a cool surgery. And when I was told that there is something called an awake craniotomy where they actually open up your brain, but it's important that they know that you can still use your hands, so you're playing piano. And I said, no, that doesn't really happen. I mean, that's terrible. We can't put something like that on the air. I said, no, it actually happens. So I was like, all right, I want that. The guy playing piano, the surgery, the brains coming out. And so I had the more positive version of their experience.
Bridget, anything on that front?
I never lose because I just cry at people. I cry really hard and I get my way.
Excellent. Let me pick up on something, Jennifer, that you said, which was that you heard from women around the world, which was amazing and moving. And I'm just wondering, for all of you, what's your relationship with your audience? What do you hear? What difference does it make? And to what degree is getting it right, knowing the impact you have on these people, is that relevant?
Well, I think for a lot of writers, their relationship with their audience is reading blogs and the Futon Critic. And let me say to writers everywhere, do not read those things. Do not read them. Yeah. People say crazy, hurtful, wacky, were you taken up by aliens when you're writing this story? I mean, it's terrible. So I've worked with and for people who are obsessed with those. I tend to stay away from those. My experience has been that when I tell people I write for private practice, I'm constantly amazed by how many people say, oh, I'm a fan of the show. And you think, well, they're saying that because I just said I work for private practice. But then they sort of quote chapter and verse of various stories. And it's astonishing to me. Never more so than when I was in India with Hollywood Health and Society. And people that I was meeting with would talk about learning things that they had learned by watching the show, which was both incredibly cool and incredibly sobering. So the idea that people were getting information from something that I was sitting in a room talking about because it would be interesting to me, that's a big responsibility. So to get things right is very important on private practice. It's very important on all of the Shondaland shows. For the episode that we saw the clip of, it was even more so because the procedure itself is very difficult. So we wanted to make sure that just the physicality was presented correctly. We also had a first-time director, Paul Edelstein, who plays Cooper on the show. So there were a lot of variables in it. So it was helpful to have a group that could make sure, you know, that they gave me the information to write what was happening and gave him the information to show that it was correct. Not that, you know, don't try this at home, kids, but it was as accurate as we could possibly make it.
When those people in India told you some of the things that they had learned, was what you heard what you had said and put out? Was it?
Yes, interestingly enough, it was not so much the you know, quoting lines or the specifics of it, but the broad sense of health issues sort of got through, and that for, I think, all of us who write for shows that have health issues, that's a huge win to sort of slip, you know, it's the equivalent of slipping the spinach in the brownies or something, that you kind of get the point across and people don't realize you've just taught them something and everybody goes home happy.
You've just given us the pull quote of the year.
So Marty, just follow on that line of questioning. When we traveled to the Middle East, and not with this group, but we found that a lot of the women who are fully covered follow these series, Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, Law and Order, and I asked them, I met a lot of young people, I asked them, they know more about the shows than I do. Why do you watch? And they would say to me, this is the only way we can see how healthcare is delivered. We don't have access to that information in our own countries. When we were in South Africa with a group of writers and producers, we met children who lived below poverty level. They knew every episode of The Troop. And we had one of the writers, Max Burnett, who is here with us tonight, and they actually were pitching him on his own show. So these shows travel all over the world, and they really mean something to people, and they make a difference.
Thank you.
Can I just
yes,
piggyback on
please.
that?
Yep.
I just wanted to say, like, sometimes the individual stories also are very compelling. We did a random story on a disease called SCDS, which I cannot for the life of me remember what it stands for, but it was really interesting, which is what got us to be interested in it. And it was for no big public health issue. It was no, you know, it's very rare. And Demi Lovato played it. If any of you are Disney fans, it was a big deal. But we got a letter like 2 months later from a woman who had been basically going through the same thing that Demi Lovato's character had been going through. It's just like her son had been misdiagnosed. And she said taking some of the things that she learned from Grey's Anatomy and taking it to her doctor, they were able to test her son for it.
Wow.
And she was able to get a diagnosis for her son, which, you know, you can't like cure the disease, but it helps her just deal with it and live with it and understand what her son is going through. So just those, like when we get those very, very personal letters, that really means a lot.
Bridget, any reaction on the Asperger's or other relations with viewers?
Yeah, I mean, I would concur that I don't read a blog or listen to anything, but I would say that I think that families with children and people with Asperger's and autism in them feel invisible, and we have received a great deal of feedback just thanking us, saying that this is what one version looks like. So it's been extremely positive. I haven't, maybe people just don't tell me because they're afraid I'm going to cry if it's bad. I don't know. It all seems good to me. So.
Gabriel, do you read that stuff?
I do not read that stuff. I do read emails from my family.
Those are the ones to do.
I was actually a little bit...
Stick with that.
Yeah, I was especially fearful about this episode because my mom is an OB nurse. Yeah. And I was doing an OB story, and additionally, and just to get in the third storyline that was in the episode, was about somebody who was selling. Sorry, it was about somebody who was he was a con artist and was telling a patient with ALS that he was using stem cells to cure his ALS, and I was very concerned about this story, especially because I have my sister Rachel, who is 100 times smarter than I am. Is actually a stem cell scientist, and she works for a company that grows human heart cells, and So I was concerned that she was going to feel that we were misrepresenting, you know, the stem cell science and that we were going to set it back and cause a lot of issues. Luckily, she was very understanding and she found the episode entertaining. And it was only my mom who was a little bit upset about some of the medical and the birthing. So.
There was a moment in the Charlotte King episode, which I was struck by, in which she described what rape is like on TV in the movies, and it's nothing like that. And I'm just wondering, for all of you writers and producers, to what degree does the way it's usually depicted or is depicted in the public mind, or a cliche, are you working against type? Are you aware of the ways in which the illnesses you are depicting, or the issues are already in the mainstream of the culture? Is that something that has an impact on how you want to tell the story?
That is something we talk about in the writers' room at Private Practice, partially because it's now a fifth season show and you don't want to repeat yourself, but also because as writers it's just more interesting to do something unexpected. I mean, the pitches to do the way it's always been done tend to come late at night when people just want to go home and have something put up on the board so we can all
That's when you
call
move
it
in.
a day. Yeah. But certainly on that show, and I think for most people who are writing in television and take pride in their work, you want to give a little top spin to things and try something slightly different, because why not? I mean, you know, there's already been there have been several shows that have tackled the issue of rape. It was an interesting thing to do it from a main character's point of view, all in one night, focusing on how this is also affecting the people around her. So it sort of takes something you think you know and gives you some new information about it.
Zoanne, is that real? I mean, there are lots of shows about Alzheimer's, and there have been, as you said, lots of episodes in your own show about Alzheimer's. Is there a conscious effort to top yourself or undermine a cliche, or, you know?
We are an 8th season show. We are constantly trying to top ourselves. And, you know, I think that, because like on Private Practice, we also discuss it a lot. There'll be a pitch out that's, you know, someone will say, that is too TV. That is way TV. So when that becomes a factor, then we set about a goal of trying to change it. Sometimes it just happens because we need the act break or we need the excitement right there. So there's an explosion for no reason. Although we try to base it in some reality. But I think the way that we might get around it a little bit to try to get away from the cliches is that our medical is so intermingled with the personal of what's going on with our characters, and we try to, you know, they're either learning something from the patient or the patient is learning something from them or something. So in that way, I think that is kind of not prevented at all, but helped us to make it more personable and make it a little bit more real and a little bit more relatable. So I think that we're able to kind of get away from more of the cliche type of things, but just by doing that, by the formula of our show. But like for Alzheimer's, for example, we had Ellis Gray who had it, and she kind of manifested it differently than how we're going to portray Adele having it. So, and there's so many different variations of the disease and other diseases. We try to find the one, obviously, that's not the cliche, how everybody thinks about it. Just try to, you know, play with your mind a little bit and make you work a little bit. So I think people like to work a little bit. It's a little bit boring to just have cliches and things you already know on television. So,
Bridget, autism and Asperger's are not unique to that episode. Did the ways in which it's been treated elsewhere play into how you did it?
You know, this might be a situation where, for me, ignorance is bliss, because the only thing that I could ever remember was Rain Man. Really, you know, as a kind of portrayal of autism and Asperger's. I'm sure that there's more out there that I'm forgetting, so forgive me. But you know, we're not a medical show. That's the other kind of interesting thing. So we come at everything from a very family POV. We look at things kind of from a family point of view. So while we strive for accuracy, and we do meet with doctors, and we're fascinated by what the manifestations of this particular kid's where he is on the spectrum, and that really sets our hair on fire. We don't really talk about what came before. We just kind of talk about what would happen in this family.
I also want to point out that Parenthood has a very interesting website, and they have a column called The Experts Speak. Mm-hmm. And every week, experts comment on the narrative and add in factual information about Asperger's and autism. So it kind of extends the story online.
Gabriel, did you have to fight against the typical Inca gold mine story?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't quite run up against that problem so much, nor with the representation of traditional Quechua vertical birth. I feel like we were able to tell that story
in a fresh way.
Yeah, in a fresh way, which very nice. It was very nice.
We've been talking a lot about research and the kind of questions that you needed research help on, and to some degree Hollywood Health and Society was helpful. I'd just like to hear specifically, maybe you could mention something where you really needed to know an answer to something.
Every day. We use Hollywood Health and Society so much that it's like on our speed dial. So,
what kind of questions do you ask?
We have them get experts for us a lot, because we'll see something in the news, and a lot of times our researcher doesn't have a medical background, although she's very close. I'm very close to giving her an AAD degree, which is almost a doctor. Sent me an email the other day, and I was like, whoa. And she actually understood it, so I was very, very intrigued. But she gets a lot of information from a lot of news sources, and a lot of times the news sources are a little bit flaky. So even in the most legitimate news sources, we like to try to back it up with facts and back it up, if we can, with the actual person. If it's like a one-of-a-kind surgery, we like to try to find that one-of-a-kind person, that one person who did it in the world. And oftentimes, Hollywood Health and Society will be able to hook us up, and they'll brief them and let them know that, we are, you won't get credit, you won't get money, but your issue will be out there, your surgery will be out there. We always try to ask them, what is the most important thing that you would like to have millions of people know? And if we can integrate it into the story without being preachy or, wagging our finger at people, we try to get it in the story as much as possible. And if they do have something that is very, very important to them, like it's very much something that would not happen, we try to make sure that happens in the episode, and try to just, make the story beats fit whatever that is. For instance, we did a face transplant, and I think the person was actually, the first person that did it in America was actually wary about talking to us at first. And I think that Hollywood Health and Society did some magic to at least let her talk to us, so that we could then allay her fears that we weren't going to just say, like, anybody should just go out and get a face transplant. She was like, it's very important that you do this, that they need to know this, and these are the risks, and these are the. And we got a lot of that out just in the kind of stylized way we started out the program, and I think she would have been very happy with how we ended up telling the story. But what was also funny about that is the only time that she could speak to us was, I think it was like 6 a.m. LA time. So that was fun. But they got her for us. So that's just one of many, many, many experts that we've been able to get through them. And that's really, really helped me as being the doctor on there, because I'm emergency medicine, so I know a little about a lot. But you need to know a lot about a lot for these things. And the experts really, really helped for me to understand exactly what was going on, because we can go to consultants and they'll be like, I think they might have done this, but I'm not sure. But when we talk to the source, we get the story, and we can break it in that way.
Bridget, what kind of research questions do you find yourself asking?
Well, we are really lucky, and it's worth mentioning, again, Jason and Kathy Cadams, because we turn to them and we say, what happened to you? Mm-hmm. So that's where we start. What happened to people that you know? And I will say, just specifically about the episode that you saw, is one of the probably moments that lit this episode up and made me and the writer's room say, we know how to do it, was we said, Jason, I know, Jason told us that he and Kathy took 4 years to tell their son that he had Asperger's. They knew for 4 years. They were trying to figure it out, and they sat on it, and they worried about it stigmatizing him, and that was an amazing thing to know, just kind of as a parent and a person. And then we said, well, what happened when you told Sawyer? And the first thing that he asked was, do you guys have it? And that, to me, that was all the drama that we needed. We went, he's alone. This is a kid who lacks many skills and coping skills, but that the first thing that he would ask was, does Phoebe have it? Do you have it? And I think we knew what the episode was then. So we're very lucky to have extremely generous, forthright, and then we kind of go to experts from there, but we kind of start at the personal level. Yep. Very lucky.
Any examples?
Yeah, I mean, private practice is not a typical medical show in that any medical story we do has to have an ethical debate that our doctors can discuss. Some people would say ad nauseum. I say at length.
In depth.
It's in depth. So if it's just a cool surgery or a procedure, we can't do it. So it's very helpful to have people like Hollywood Health and Society to talk to send us experts at the beginning of every year and also throughout the year to just sit and talk to us about what their cases are, so that when they're speaking, you kind of hear the ethical debate and realize, oh, okay, this will work well. On a personal note, I wrote an episode at the end of last season about the lead doctor doing a partial birth abortion, which was a very big topic. ABC Legal was very nervous. Shonda very much.
You call it that, a partial birth abortion?
We had some people
third
calling
trimester.
it that. Yes, we had doctors calling it third trimester. We had people who were very anti it, using inflammatory terms. But even that question sort of speaks to the bigger issue of what was going on. But Shonda's on the board of Planned Parenthood, and it was really important to her to do something to bring this up. So I spent a lot of time talking with the OB-GYN who's associated with the show, and Sandra got us people to talk to from Planned Parenthood, all of which was great information. After I had written a pass, the doctors take a look at it, and the female gynecologist sent word back via an email that it was important. It was important information to get out there. It's a difficult procedure. She herself has done it many, many times. And although she knows that this is her job as a doctor and she believes in her job as a doctor, personally, it rips her up. And to hear that kind of information, I, of course, was incredibly moved by the story. And then the writer in my brain emailed her back and said, can I use that in the script? Would you mind? So we have the lead character explaining this. So it was invaluable to have someone who had been through this give me both medical information that I needed as well as a personal story that we could use to sort of illustrate what a difficult subject it is.
Yeah, certainly in for Off the Map, I mean, which is off the air, we did only a short run of 13 episodes. It was a unique show in that we had a real opportunity to tell a lot of global health stories, and so I feel like that that in and of itself created an issue for us where we needed to get. Really, we depended on Hollywood Health and Society early on in the process, and Ramla worked with Courtney in bringing us so many experts and doctors who had been to South America and who'd worked there, and got us in touch with Linnea Smith, who runs a clinic that was similar to the clinic that was portrayed in the show. And when I was doing the research on the vertical birth in Quechua, I came across this documentary that was, directed by a Fulbright scholar who went down there named Rebecca Rivas, and I mentioned to Ramla that, you know, we should really try to get a copy of the documentary, and she got me on the phone with Rebecca Rivas, with Courtney, like, and so I was talking to a person who had been there, who had witnessed it, who knew firsthand, and there were so many unique stories in that world that we don't necessarily come across in our normal research. Now I'm working on, I work on private practice now too, and it's a whole different, you know, team and a whole different, you know, type of story we tell. There's certainly there are fewer parasites involved now. And I really appreciate that, but it was, I mean, obviously, Hollywood Health and Society, we couldn't have even done the season without, you know, started the season without them.
Sandra, when you and your staff work with experts in advance of their consultations, how do you deal with the possibility, and how do you help them deal with the possibility that what they say may not turn up in the show?
Well, that's part of the conversation, that the writers have the right to use the information any way they choose. So there are a lot of things we share with the health experts. One, they are not pitching storylines. They're presenting real stories of real people and case studies. We do this to inspire the writers and also to inform them. So that's one thing. The other thing is they get no credit. So their name never appears anywhere. The third thing is, as Marty asked, we have no control over the end product, and writers are writing for entertainment. They're actually not health educators. It's not their job. So we just happen to work with some of the most talented writers in the world, and when they, as they said, when a story captures their imagination, they spin it, and they can do it better than any health educator in the world. And so when that health content is accurate, it's a huge service to society because it comes in a powerful vehicle, which is a story.
Just picking up on that, and to have just a last question or a last round, it's on this topic of you're in the entertainment business. Your job is to entertain and to get audiences. You're also concerned with accuracy. Is there a tension? Do you like being reminded of your responsibility to your audience, or is your responsibility to get lots of ratings and do it in a way which your team thinks is the appropriate? Is there a tension at all? Is this a false dichotomy? Because I hear it all the time.
Well, it's a definite tension on private practice. It's a topic that comes up at least once a day when we're discussing stories about, you know, how far can you go with something. What happens a lot with us is we'll cheat time, the way Zoanne was talking about, that, you know, we want to get the symptoms of something right, the treatment of something right. If normally it would take a week and we need it to happen in a day, we'll sort of cheat that. But the idea, at least for private practice, is to not fudge the important stuff. I can play with how long it takes a surgery to happen. I can't say that suddenly we have a doctor who can cure Alzheimer's. You know, that's a line we just can't cross.
I'd say ditto. I am constantly arguing for this. I mean, I have the responsibility almost too much for the health education part, because I also have a master's in public health. So I have like this public health person coming in and this writing person coming in. And I did the public health and the medicine a lot longer than I've done the writing. So that tends to override a lot. And it actually limits me just a little bit. So when the writers will say something they want to do, I'm like, no, in my head. But outside, I say, I'll look into that. And oftentimes I'm actually surprised, because our experts or our consultants can actually work something out and make it work, where it's actually somewhat factually based. They're like, yeah, it would happen maybe once. And I'm like, fine. If they say that line, then it's done. So, you know, and I try to convince them, can we just try this? Can we tweak that? Can we do this? And again, I win and I lose. But my first job, I think, said it best. I was on Presidio Med, which was on CBS for like 8 months, which was my first job. And my boss came to me and said, the medical accuracy is very, very important to us. And she used to work for ER. But remember, the drama always wins. And I have taken that to heart and gone through my 10 years of writing now. And it is true.
Bridget, does this issue resonate for you?
Well, I mean, in listening to you marvelous writers, I feel so grateful that the onus of curing and examining these diseases doesn't lay on us. We just talk about preschool and somebody's pregnant again. So, yes, that's right. No, we are a show that we like minutia. You know, it's the minutia of parenting. So this season we kind of took the explorative route of taking Max, our autistic young man, the child, and mainstreaming him. And so it's going to be the minutia of that, but it does not. So we like accuracy, we love accuracy, but there's a great continuum of accuracy that we can draw upon. So feel lucky.
For me, I think, and just to do a shout out to one of the other shows that won today, is that I feel like from the first time I was introduced to television, which was Sesame Street, it was all educational programming, and I feel like that ingrained in me like a sense of, you know, like there's an actual responsibility here. You educate and you entertain. And previously, before I came out here and started working as a writer, I worked in a little bit of education and working in a children's museum where it was always play to learn. And so I feel like no matter what, it's important for us to educate as writers. And I feel like no matter what, people are learning from television. They're learning about the law and they're learning about medicine. And so I really, really encourage people to pressure television shows and television writers to do more, more accurate and more important storylines. And I feel like it's a strong conviction to, for all of us to continue telling stories that are going to help society. So.
Yeah, it is. I'm glad to know that in the brownie that I ate, it was spinach.
Spinach, my friend. Delicious, delicious spinach.
And I would ask all of you to join me in thanking all the writers up here and in the room for the great work they do. Thank you, and good night.